big news happened, and I seem to remember calling this. I seem to remember calling that this was absolutely going to happen this year, and that was that basically Astralis had decided. The team, Astralis, has decided to split from Refresh Entertainment. So for those of you who don't maybe follow Counter-Strike, the business of Counter-Strike religiously, basically Refresh are a company that attempted to sneak ownership of multiple teams. Yes, and the Origin brand as well, it's got to be said. But I think that's related to some rules that are coming. Anyway, regardless. But basically what they try to do is they try to sneak ownership of multiple teams past us all in the community on the beta.
Is it true that Anders will be going to the Area 51 raid?
I'm trying to talk. Is it true? I don't know. Fucking... Probably. He's a fucking lunatic. Mate, I think Anders was fucking discovered in Area 51. If you ask me, my opinion, I think he came from there. Anyway, so basically what they try to do is they try to sneak past ownership of multiple teams under the guise of media rights ownership, and they kept trying to say, oh, there's nothing sinister here, we don't have influence, and then contracts got leaked. I mean, there's still a load of stories that never came out, like stuff that went on with Godsent and how they were like fronting up lawyers or something when they were trying to get Crims not Crims, when fucking JW and all that moved across to Godsent, they basically, it was Refresh that were, getting expert lawyers involved to, get them out of the Fnatic contracts and stuff. And yet, they were trying to pretend that, oh, we've got no ownership. We've got no stake. We've got no interest. We just deal with their media rights. Yeah, I went out and I got the contracts, and it's like, wait, you're paying their salary. Well, yes, but that's an exchange. It was just lies. It was just fucking absolute nonsense. And they did it for Heroic, and they did it for Godsent, and they did it for Astralis. I see there might even have been a Team Norse. I can't remember if they were
even a real journalism.
If they were linked.
That's right.
Anyway,
Rich is live. It's gonna be a good night.
Yes, Rich is live. He's live. Thanks for the sub, homie. Right. So anyway, so what they were doing was basically trying to have this huge empire. Originally, Nicola Nyholm, what he wanted was to control the players' union, and thank fucking God that never happened. And you go, Richard, how could you possibly know that? Well, if you remember when Fallen got his Skype hacked, and a few other things hacked, if I remember rightly, there was a load of Skype logs that got leaked. I've still got them somewhere. Probably it's on the dead man's drive. And basically what happened was Nicola Nyholm had contacted Fallen and said, you will be the figurehead of the players' union because everyone respects you and likes you. And we'll fund it and we'll run it and we'll organize it. Right. So basically what that suggests to me is that this is a guy who was identifying ways that he could sort of control the whole scene, be a little bit Machiavellian, control everything, because as we can see, it's not that he's interested in player rights or anything like that. Oh, and the other gimmick, of course, that Refresh pushed was that for the teams that they owned, Astralis in particular, they said, oh, these are player-owned organizations. Then it came out publicly because it's Denmark, so all the documents are public, and they must fucking hate that, by the way. I mean, no matter how many shell companies you try and wrap shit up in, if you use the name Astralis, if you use the name Refresh, I can get you documents that fucking day. It's brilliant. And it must drive Nicola Nyholm mad, because what they have to show in their articles of incorporation and their business documents is that who owns what percentage. So this player-owned organization owned less than 10% between them. Not each. Between them. So you're talking about 1.92 percent per player.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if you've ever owned any shares or stocks.
Sunday morning entertainment. You do great work.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I don't know if you've ever owned any shares or stocks or any of that kind of thing. 1.9%, 2%. Not really a big say at the adults table. Just not really a big say at all. If you ever sell, brilliant. You're gonna get, whatever those shares are worth to take that 2% back from you. It's equity. It's worth a little bit, but It is not a controlling interest by any stretch of the imagination. So to call it a player-controlled organization, a player-owned organization, was incredibly disingenuous. It was one of the biggest sort of smears, lies, obfuscation of facts. It's actually one of the more egregious ones, I think. Like when we think about Refresh, we think about the lies about trying to cover up multiple team ownership and all of that. I think that's kind of small potatoes, actually. I think sort of misrepresenting that this was a player-owned organization is far worse. So, anyway, so the reality is that this was always a stunt, and Nicola Nyholm has made it very clear that this was an asset flipping exercise right from the get-go. Hey, Foreign Gamer, good to see you, dog. 8 months, man, that's fucking flown by. So yeah, basically it was always an asset flipping exercise. The plan was to build up these brands. Well, okay, no, that wasn't the plan. The original plan was to own all of these brands and own a league, right? Which probably would have been called the Blast, because the Blast was a Danish LAN event that they had purchased the intellectual property for because they'd amalgamated with people that had some partial claim to it and stuff, on the board of Refresh. So they basically were looking to create a hermetically sealed league with like 10 teams in it, and these would all be brands that Refresh controlled. And every team owner would have like a point of contract who was like owner/GM. They were super keen to get like, all these players in like Fallen, Sean Gares, like figurehead iconic players. And they were going to play in this like hermetically sealed league and exclusive. And, so it was basically like what PEA ended up doing. But the difference is nobody knows that Refresh tried to do this. So that was the original plan. that was the original plan. Then they decided, well, we'll fucking just own these teams and we'll put them in our own events and we'll big it up, and then we'll sell the teams if we ever have to for conflict of interest reasons, and we'll just make them super successful. We'll make them super successful and we will just sell them. Right? Well, of course, what happened was they all went down the fucking shitter. Godsent went down the shitter. They were called Homesent for a while because they couldn't fucking get out of groups in tournaments. You had Heroic, which were anything but. They had that very brief period of time where they were good, which coincided with Yugi actually being able to play. Although, MSL's doing work with him again. Basically, you end up in this situation where none of the teams that they'd sort of tried to big up ended up succeeding, apart from Astralis, who went on to be the #1 team in the world. So then they pivoted, and what they quickly realized they could do was, wait, people want to see the best team in the world, right? Because obviously they're the best fucking team in the world. So people want to see the best team in the world. So what we do is we start making it so the best team in the world increasingly comes to more and more of our events, because we also have these small events over here. We want to make it a big thing. We want to increase our market share. So what better way to leverage sponsors, right, than to say, well, we can guarantee the best team in the world is there, and we're going to reach out to all these other teams. We're going to speak the language to the players of these events are low commitment, they're in glamorous locations, it's best of ones, they're glorified holidays for you, and the money's decent. And of course, you'll get to play Astralis, and if you're a fan, you'll get to see Astralis, and you get to see Astralis play all these other teams. So they use all of that to basically then start saying, well, unfortunately, we've got these contracts. We got these contracts with these teams, and we got these contracts with Astralis, obviously, who we own. They can't come to your event, ESL. It's just not feasible. Look, we were there in the joint Skype group. We were there. We put it in. We said what weekend we were going to do it, but it's a little bit far away, isn't it, as well, to go back to back, even with a weekend in between. And Astralis are telling us they're tired. They keep just saying it all the time. Ignore the tweets about Device going to Dubai. Ignore that. He's really tired and needs a rest, and he's sick, and he can't travel to your event, but to Dubai he can. The queue is in Dubai, I heard. So ignore all that. And this is what they started doing to other events. They started basically trolling them in a way, like just gaslighting them all, telling them, "Hey, we want to work with you. We want to work with you, man. Like, we'll this isn't a soft exclusivity." Meanwhile, they contracted, 7 teams or whatever the fuck it was to basically attend 5 out of their next 7 events with a plan to expand in 2020.
That's right.
Like Trump.
Sick Deftones shirt.
Thank you. Yes, from the eponymous album, which has great tracks on it. A lot of people don't like it. I think it's because it was the follow-up to White Pony. Tough fucking act to follow, man, because White Pony's like one of the best albums, one of the best rock albums of all time. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's got some good tracks on there, dog. So always good to meet a fellow Deftones fan. So this is the situation we've been in. Now, who has bore the brunt of the criticism? Who has it affected the most? Well, Refresh, let me tell you, negative publicity to these guys, it's like bugs on a fucking windshield. You format shit. You in a furniture store. We think it's an improvement. They just, it doesn't go in. It doesn't make them sad. It doesn't make them rethink. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't stop them. They just carry on. They just swat it away. That's it. So who's it really affected? All this negative press for months. Well, it's obviously the team. It's obviously Astralis. We've all laughed. We've all had we've all had the memes. We've all enjoyed it, right? Because it is funny. It's funny to see any entity that engages in hubris of this nature to fail. But the reality is, the players were in a rock and a hard place. Player-controlled org, not on your fucking Nelly. Parent company telling them basically what to do, where they can and can't go. Keep in mind, at any point,
you're not even a real journalism.
Refresh can just actually tell them flat out, like, you're not going.
Guys like you and Duncan do the real work in esports.
Well, thank you, Happy Nigel. Appreciate it. Thank you. 18 months, dude. Long time. I was actually looking at it the other day. Do you know the majority of my subs are 6 months or more? Like, the overwhelming. And it's something like 30% of them are in, like, what I would consider long term. Like, anything over a year.
That's right.
Madness. Got so many people have been around for such a long time. Anyway, so Astralis are fucking in this terrible position, right? Because they're having to eat all the shit. It's them who doesn't go to events. It's them who comes to these best of ones, these best of one tournaments. It's them that don't get to maintain the standard of being the number 1 team in the world. It's them who get called out over the excuses. It's Zonic who has to come out and be the mouthpiece, the mouth of fucking Sauron, and tell everybody, hey, it looks funny when Device is traveling, but he is really sick, and traveling one way is worse than the other, and all this shit. It's Zonic who has to say it. It's not Nicola Nyholm coming out and saying any of this shit. It's not even anyone from Refresh. So, obviously Astralis has been pissed off. Like, I'm telling you, if you think this hasn't affected Astralis, all this negative press, the tacit understanding, it's always in their mind, always in their fucking head, that they literally surrendered being the number 1 team in the world because of business interests for a parent company that realistically don't give them as much as probably is what they should. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a much better arrangement than what happened with TSM. Shit, man, last time I saw Reggie, I told him straight to his face, you fucked up with that fucking CSGO team, dog. I mean, the whole story about how it happened, there's a roller coaster right there. But, but he knows it. He's older and he's older and he's wiser now, But, we all saw them at the event when they were losing, and they couldn't, the penny hadn't dropped. They didn't realize they were bad. Well, not bad, but worse than they were, which was untouchable. The penny hadn't dropped. They didn't realize they wanted to turn up and be 80%, 90%, and still win. And you could see Flashes were off. You know, this was at ECS. And flashes were off, smokes weren't landing in the right place. Like, the idea that anyone on Astralis is ever going to fuck up a smoke or a flashbang is insane to me. It happened multiple times at ECS, and this is why they ended up losing to Furia. And you saw the reaction to it. Zipniks. Like, literally, right? That motherfucker is so cool. His face is next to a picture of a cucumber in the fucking dictionary, right? And this cunt's fucking getting triggered and punching his screen, and Dupree's getting angry, and Device is getting angry, and everyone's fucking raging. And you can see, like, this is not the same team. This is not the fucking same team. At all. So, they were obviously tilted and triggered and everything else. I mean, like, Magisk is permanently angry. He's like the fucking Hulk. That's his secret. He's always angry. It's just how red he gets. He's sort of like the Hulk, but just red. Like fucking, what's he called? The fucking Abomination or whatever, you know? Just like that, ain't he? That's my secret, Captain. I'm always red. Right? But, like, straight up, like, guys who don't normally get angry were getting mad angry. And they were getting mad angry because of all of this peripheral noise. Because they have to take the shit. They're called Blastralis. They got to swallow that. So then they go to the next event. Right, okay, more pressure, right? We've just been tuned by fucking Furia. Let's get our shit together. You're not getting your shit together. Right now, you know, their position is third in the world. It might even be fourth for me. Might even be fourth. You know, I could see Ents even taking a series off them these days. So, reading between the lines, right, and again, there's some serious bullshit in this interview, which we'll get into. Reading between the lines, I think the team has just had enough. I think they've had I mean, they'll still have to commit to anything they've signed for 2019. They'll still have to commit to going to these events unless they're going to be given like an amnesty on it. And who knows? I mean, let's also not rule out, and I'll be watching, but let's not rule out that they just throw up some bullshit shell company and it's like, yep, Refresh no longer owns Astralis. Now, Nicola Nyholm's other company, Sunstone fucking Productions, or whatever the fuck it's called, they now own them. Like, brilliant. Same people, different names. Okay, cool. All right, I've seen this a million times in esports. So, anyway, I think reading between the lines, I think Astralis fucking had enough. Legit had enough. And they want out of an arrangement that now is really hurting their reputation, their ability to be number one. Credit to the players for that, and credit to Zonic for that. I think this has really hurt them. This entire saga has really hurt them. I think they liked being the number one team in the world, but I just don't think they realized how quick they could lose it, because that's just the nature of the business. I mean, shit, I could have told them that. So, anyway, we get this headline come out the other day. And keep in mind, I must have said this on By the Numbers, like, multiple times. Like, eventually, like, Astralis will split from Refresh. You know, they did it with TSM, which is a huge org. You know, you don't say no to that. But they did to make this. Big risk, but they did it because the principle was right. So it says here, Astralis will soon fully operate independently from Refresh Entertainment. HLTV.org has learned. Not a surprise that HLTV actually got wind of this before anyone else. You have to remember that the owner of HLTV is Danish. Nicola Nyholm, I think, is on relative speaking terms. The guy called Nomad. So, you know, they probably back-channeled them and let them know first, because this is the most effective way to get the news out and control the message. The Danish team in Origin, the iconic League of Legends brand acquired by Refresh Entertainment in November 2018, are already operating under a new company called Refresh Teams, a temporary name that will soon be changed. Now, this suggests to me they've given them a separate placeholder name for the purposes of financials and whatever else, and they're looking to sell. We'll get more into why that might be the case. But here's another thing to factor in. That, Refresh have been feeling so good about their events. Refresh have been feeling so good about them. I don't know why, but they have been. I mean, listen, I set it myself by the numbers after the first couple. I said, you know what? After that first one where they had to cancel an entire day, they actually learned they're actually good. And they were nice little throwaway popcorn events that I could enjoy. Then there was just like one, it felt like every month there was just another. And it was adding to a pretty, a lot of online Counter-Strike. And it's actually, I consider now watching these events kind of worse than online Counter-Strikes, at least in the online stuff. You still get best of threes. So that takes some doing. And then, I don't know, just little things. For me, their standards have slipped. Their standards have slipped overall in terms of, like we saw it today. Again, I'll get into some aspects of today's event. But, production slip-ups, corners cut, timing off, the interviews and stuff kind of feel like really out of place. The musical thing they put in today, which was an embarrassment, frankly. Yeah, I'm not really feeling it. And I haven't seen any of this. There was sound problems, which is a throwback to when they did their first couple of events. Some games had no replays, no crowd shots at all for when the crowd was empty. Get to the crowd. I've got some hard numbers. I've got some hard numbers coming up. Because I wanted to go into this in depth and make it basically clip it into a YouTube video, because I thought there would be no point in going into this level of detail on by the numbers. Anyway, so they're looking to sell. And they're looking to sell to a buyer who evidently maybe they'll take on Origin along with Astralis, or maybe they'll sell them independently. But here's another thing to consider. They've been feeling so good about these events that they've been running that they have decided to basically, I think, it works for everybody right now. If they're on board with Astralis leaving, because I think they can pitch for a major. And for those that don't know, and I, again, I've been behind the curtain, and I'm on the other side again now, so I don't really give a fuck. Whatever, judge me if people don't like it. But like Valve are so dialed in on this multiple team ownership and conflict of interest shit now. They actually give a fuck. I've said this multiple times, like where Riot and Activision Blizzard, like they just literally, if they could get away with it tomorrow, they would just control all of the teams. All the games would be rigged. You would never know about it. Buy our product, consume our product, spend our money, cheer. They would literally write out like wrestling. That's literally how they would do it tomorrow. They have no interest in the genuine competitive integrity, genuine stories. They've got no interest in that, because they can't control it. And the problem with realness and reality is you get bad things. Like sometimes bad people can be really, not even bad people, assholes, let's call them. Assholes can be really good at a video game, and they say asshole stuff. And Riot don't like it. So then it becomes not, well, hey, they're just assholes, so we just have to live with that. They go, how can we get this guy out or change them? It has to be one of the two. They either can't play in our league because assholes are bad for business, or we have to make them not an asshole. Go see Ocelot in G2. Notoriously toxic player in solo queue. The only way that Riot was going to basically keep having this iconic player play, in LCS and at their events was when they did that really cringeworthy Taming the Beast video with Ocelot. Go watch it. It's terrible. And that was sort of a part of an agreement to basically be like, look, be better, be good. You make money. We keep you in our league. We'll create a story about it.
That's right.
Valve don't give a fuck about that. Valve actually want it. They like the system we have. They don't want control, because out of the chaos, Valve is primed to get data, which is why they're such an advanced company. They're an advanced company that recently has made some mistakes, but they have never wanted to control things. They actually relish the lack of control, and they sit back and like staring at a fucking, we're all in the Petri dish. They're the scientists. They write down their findings. That's how Valve operate. So Valve don't want conflict of interest and potential for corruption and other stuff. They don't want any of that, because when that artifice creeps into their sports, it not only hurts the sport, which we all know, but also as well, it sort of hurts how Valve think about things and how Valve extrapolate information from the scenes that they're involved in. So they don't like it. And they've said that to me. They've said we don't like this conflict of interest bullshit. They tell me they pay attention to my reporting. They've applauded it. They've also told me privately that they've gone to teams and let them know that there's certain hammers coming down. Like before the Face It major, that was a huge story. That was when they basically nailed it on and said, like, anybody that owns like any multiple team ownership, fuck you. Like, you can't enter both teams. But it just got obfuscated with how bad the Face It major was. But, they've dropped some hammers that I don't agree with as well. For example, for Dota, you can't attend TI and be sponsored by a gambling company. They won't allow it. They won't allow any direct sponsorship. So you have to basically have the sponsor. Wait, what's going on here? There's someone spamming my chat, and people are saying that he's weird.
You're not even a real journalism.
I'll give him a timeout.
That's right.
That's usually good for reflection. Yeah, basically, things like that. So I don't even see it as a direct conflict of interest. If Betway sponsor NIP, I don't think Betway are ever going to call up fucking NIP and say, like, yo, throw this game, dog, because we've just looked at the betting patterns. Football teams have fucking sponsors. That are Betway and, Bet365 and all these gambling companies, and nobody really bats an eyelid. It kind of feels a little bit more draconian, more in line with this weird American kind of puritanical view of gambling and how it's a corrupting force. But then again, Valve did get absolutely fucking battered with lawsuits because of skins gambling and everything else and match fixing. So who fucking knows? Maybe they just want gambling as far away from their game as possible. I think that's short-sighted because it's a huge revenue stream for the teams. But then again, that doesn't really affect Valve all that much. Journalism. So, that's right. Anyway, if you want to pitch, there is absolutely no way that Valve would even entertain a pitch from Refresh while they owned teams. No way. Zero. Absolutely zero. So they've got to let them go. They've got to get rid of the teams. And I think with all the negative publicity they've had, with Astralis probably wanting to get out too, and the fact that we're coming out of a major. Typically, how it works is that the pitch for the majors is kind of opens up at the end of the year or at the start of the year. So people come in and they basically say, pitch for majors and we'll pick, and you get told what the criteria might be. I think I would assume that Refresh are going to go in and pitch for a major, which they absolutely should not get. Because they certainly haven't done enough to suggest to me they can take on the monumental task of running a major, which I know a thing or two about. So, think about the companies that have been successful. Think about the companies that have failed. Yeah. There's no fucking way, in my mind, that they're ready, or that they've done, and that they have a body of work that even suggests that they're ready. I mean, look, it's not a very nice thing to say, but obviously the Face It major was awful. And this is a company that had run successful events, but not really ones of the same size, the same stature, same level of production value. And I think people realize, actually, you don't do a major to make money. You do a major so you get more sponsors for your other events. The major is probably going to lose your money, honestly, if you do it to the size and stature and that everybody want. The major is not a fucking money spinner. But I think, for even like respected companies who I love and I worked for and I know the staff, like PGL, they fucked up. They fucked up Krakow. That had a fucking ropey couple of days out there. So it's a tough one. It really is. But I think reading between the lines, that's what's precipitated this move. I'll just read you these little quotes here, and then we can have a laugh at today's event. The CEO, Nicola Nyholm, told HLTV that the company will focus solely on the Blast Pro Series and other Blast properties, stressing that the truly important parts of the teams and the tournament organizations have already been separated. Lies. We call these lies. In what way have they been properly separated? Your offices, they go in, they train. Your staff, the Blast staff, Refresh staff, travel with Astralis, go to events. But okay, whatever. Negotiations have already started with a view to acquiring the majority shareholding of Astralis and Refresh teams currently held by those already involved in Blast, according to Mr. Nyholm, who guaranteed that the teams will be fully separated from Refresh Entertainment by the time of the Star Ladder Major. Another thing as well, the timing's interesting. It could be maybe Valve have said something about this privately. I think it would have leaked. And it's unlikely. I don't think they care too much about the whole you're running an event and owning a team thing, because that's never going to impact on what they do. But maybe. The management behind Refresh Teams is also expecting extensive interest from outside investors in the company, which houses not only one of the most decorated teams in the history of Counter-Strike, but also a highly successful League of Legends squad who finished in second place in the LEC. That's the European League of Legends League 2019 spring playoffs. Despite the recent criticism targeted at the potential conflict of interest between Refresh Entertainment and Astralis, and at how Blast Pro Series' heavy event schedule and business model have changed the landscape of the competitive Counter-Strike, Mr. Nyholm insists this move has long been in the pipeline. Forever. It's been there. 2 years ago, we spoke about how after a build-up phase of a model esports team, a tournament operator and a team should not have common ownership, he said, revealing that Astralis are now a profitable business unique to the esports ecosystem. I mean, that's what we call didn't happen. Basically, I'll tell you exactly what he means by that. In his mind, this isn't a lie, by the way. He means that it was always his plan to basically sell off whichever was the least successful of the two for a profit. In that sense, a parting of the ways was inevitable. But, they would have kept control and retained them all for as long as they could feasibly get away with while still expanding. The point is now they're thinking about the major, thinking about doing a major, thinking about expanding the stature of the event, especially with an increased number of the Blast events in 2020. So getting a major in 2020 as well would be like a hell of a coup, right? And that means more sponsors, more attention, more viewers. Well, man alive, if today is anything to go by, I mean, put it this way. I know Valve are paying attention, but I'll just make double sure. I'll do whatever I have to do to just make sure that Valve are more than aware of how bad the Blast LA has been. So, hard numbers, right, guys? And I'll repeat these on by the numbers, as is appropriate. But I saw a tweet from Kevin Hitt, a journalist, used to be my editor over at VP Esports, now works for a website called Upcomer.
That's right.
And appreciate it, Sir Scootston. Thanks for the resub, dog. I'm going to talk about your thing after this, and then we'll get into something to depress everybody and whatever. So anyway, Kevin Hitt tweeted this out. And he said, and again, the thing I love with Kevin is I can never tell when he's being like dry, tongue-in-cheek, or just sort of like contradictory without realizing it. It's like it's always a puzzle like you have to unravel. But anyway, so he did this. He said, I was skeptical about the venue change at first, but it setup works for the fans. TVs are big enough to see, players can be seen, feels cozy. Cozy's definitely the word. I'll just max this out and jump off camera so you can just see it. So a lot of questions, with that. The first of all, I don't know where this front row intimate experience thing that they promised was, because everything is the front row. The stage setup must be a nightmare from a sound perspective, because as you could see, each individual stage was in a row. It wasn't like how they've had it at other events where they were on different sides. You know, sound travels like this outwards, you know. So this is basically multiple games with multiple commentators coming into a fully open auditorium. Well, I say auditorium, a furniture store. So that must be awful. That must be really bad sound-wise, because if you're sat here and the other game is here and you're trying to pay attention to this, but you can also see the screen of that out the corner of your eye and people reacting to that, and maybe hear a little bit of the noise as well. That's pretty fucking bad, guys. That's pretty fucking bad. This is not an acceptable setup, really, that's conducive to good sound in an open room with a lovely wooden ceiling. So here's the thing. When I saw that as well, forget the stage setup, honestly. There's an old phrase, needs must as the devil drives, and they've been put in a real tough position, as you're going to find out why in just a second. But when I saw that crowd, I couldn't believe my eyes that a Counter-Strike event in LA, with the top teams in the world attending, would have a crowd that small. I thought maybe that is just the intimate area. No, that is the full area. That is the full area. And now you remember that they actually had their original plan was to have it at the Galen Center, which has a capacity of 10,000. 10,000, okay? Now, it probably wouldn't have been 10,000 because you have the 4 screens and you have to cordon some areas off. So maybe it would have been 8, maybe 5, depending. I don't know. I haven't got a map of the Galen Center, so I can't look at how many people sit in which zones. But it was a 10,000 seater. It was a 10,000 arena, right? And they said ticket sales had been disappointing, and that was why they had to move venue and change date. Well, I had somebody, because I've got spies there, right? Because, you know me, I know everybody. I even got some fans who have supposedly paid for this VIP experience, this intimate experience, and they're going to review it. No, I would never put the talent in the position, actually. Like, you go in, of course you got spies there, all your mates are there. So I would never ask the talent to basically rat out a tournament organizer unless it was like for something like non-payment. I'm not going to put them in a position where it's like, hey, you know that event you work, did it suck balls? You know, like, let me know, because, you know, they're freelancers, right? I'm talking about like actual motherfuckers on the ground, like journalists and attendees. And I basically have got a guy who's paid for like the VIP thing and all of that shit, who's going to give me a review of it. He's going to review it, and then we'll talk about that review on By the Numbers. Anyway, so I got somebody on the ground to count the chairs. Right, let's make chat interactive, right? We've got 550 of you here right now. So I'll tell you what, I'll mute it and just scan it small style so you can start have a look. How many chairs are there? Let's see, has anyone got it yet? Right, well, anyway, apparently in the venue, counting all the rows and some of the stuff that's off camera, 480 chairs, according to my on-the-ground spy. And they also said, at best, at any given time, they were about half full. So they would put it at about 250 people max attending. Now, a lot of you know me quite well now, having watched me stream for a while, you know. And you'll probably know that math's definitely not my strong suit. I was always a words guy. I've always been a words guy. So 10,000, right? I'm trying to just figure it out. There's 10. Your plan was 10,000. Your scaled down plan was 500. And you then got half of that. Now, I don't know what bullshit numbers they're going to come out with. They're going to come out with some bullshit numbers, guys. You know, someone will clip this, or they're probably watching right now, Nicola Nyholm's got like, Richard's streaming, quick, get on there. We must listen to everything he says and then pretend it's a lie, and every time he's proven correct. So I don't know what bullshit they're going to come up with. Here's one trick to watch out for, guys. There's this thing called footfall. Oh, it's so good. Scooters in the chat and Alchemist too, because they know exactly the game that gets played with footfall. They know exactly the motherfucking game. So in case you don't know, what you do is, if you ever want your number to be fucking bumped up, you don't talk about how many people buy tickets and stay and watch the games. You run a turnstile and you talk about footfall. And what this means is, if some cunt wanders in off the streets, and keep in mind, typically you do this for events where, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Blast actually maybe do this on the last day, where they like just do a reduced price, or they open it up just to fill it. I've certainly seen lots of events do that down the years, where it's like they start with the plan, hey, we'll sell the tickets. We're not selling tickets. Fuck, we've got empty seats. This looks terrible. Our sponsors are going to fucking not come back. Let's give them away. And that's what happens, right? So what you do is you basically talk about footfall. And footfall is like literally, if one guy comes in, but goes in the turnstile and does the fucking Grandpa Simpson meme. Bard's looking at me in a brothel. And he walks out again, right? That's one person. That's one person. That's one footfall. That's one visitor.
You're not even a real journalist.
So now imagine if you're running a big convention center or a big esports event and it's free, or, you know, you've got people who are paying for tickets, but then like maybe they come and they don't like what they see and they leave, but they can't sell the tickets, and then maybe they do sell a ticket, right? Maybe they scalp their tickets or transfer them to somebody else, and then that person comes. So what you start doing is you start adding up just the number of people that have entered the building during your event, basically, and you call it footfall. And you can inflate the numbers pretty fucking big, pretty bigly, as my man might say, because obviously what counts as footfall, you'll lump in all the journalists, all the visitors, all the fucking parents, like just anybody who's entered the building. You've got a guy there like a fucking census taker, like just adding them all up on an abacus. And then you get to say, you know, an ESL, I think, I want to say pioneered this. You get to say, we had, Scoots just put it in the chat, over 100,000 people came through our doors today. You know what I mean? And it sounds way better than we actually only sold fucking, you know, we only actually put 500 bums on seats to watch games. And you win, because you played the footfall card. So maybe that'll come. Maybe not. Maybe they'll be honest about it. I mean, who fucking knows? But the reality is, it is a terrible look for what should have been I'm perplexed. Like, I understand the complexities of selling out events. I remember when E-League got a lot of shit because we struggled to hit that capacity at Atlanta in the Fox Theater. and that was 5,000. And people said at home, that doesn't look like there's 5,000. There's probably only 3,000. There's only 4. We did sell out, but it was a slog. And again, we sold out, but probably, I want to say at like maybe 1 or 2 points were we even close to having the 5,000 in all at once. Right? So that's another thing. Like, people buy tickets. Maybe that, you see, there's 250 people there. Maybe they've sold 2,000. But maybe people come, go, they only want to watch one game. They turn up, they're like, oh, fuck it, like, I'm really not feeling this, actually. I want to go down the bar. So, yeah, it's getting them all there at once. So, that's another problem. So, when I was at E-League, you know, when it was apparent that, like, we were going to, you know, maybe have, like, some Spartan areas, we went out and fucking, you know, local unis, local colleges. We're like, look, here's a special fucking, you know, discount. Bring your friends, come along. You know, we went out there and rustled. I'm not ashamed to say that. In the end, we ended up with a weird disconnect anyway, because everyone who went said it was fucking wicked and the atmosphere was great, and everyone at home said the atmosphere was shit. And I've never understood that discrepancy. That was like one of the better events I'd been to. I say that in all honesty.
Been a real journalist.
And it was easily eclipsed by Boston, but yeah, it was very bizarre. So I mean, listen, in America, it is fucking hard if you are in a big city to get people to come to your events and commit to staying there for fucking 8-10 hours. People have shit to do. It's the city.
Thoughts on how the new C9 squad played today when you get the chance? Enjoying the stream.
Thanks, buddy. So, you know, and look, and you know how good we all remember how good MLG Columbus was in, right? But first of all, MLG had a long history of running events in Columbus, so they already had, like, the people who lived there who were into fucking esports and gaming and tech culture. Well, what else is there to do? Like, real talk. And then, obviously, as well, it's a place that you can get to and go to, and you don't leave the venue. It's fucking, there's nothing else to see, you know? That led to having that great crowd that was there for all that fucking all that time. I mean, you know, it was like, yeah, you get weird little situations, like with the Boston Major final had less people in the building than the Boston Major semifinals did. So it's tough if you are in a big city and you want people to fucking sit for 10 hours a day at what is ostensibly a sporting event. It's got to be great. It's got to be a great venue. It's got to be value for money. And this is why, if you've ever wondered why they keep throwing all these fucking garbage musical acts, it's because they keep thinking, like, fuck, what can we pack here to make people stay? I'll spoiler. It's not your fucking musical acts that you're picking. I've seen them all as well. I mean, fuck. DreamHack Atlanta had Waka Flocka Flame, you know, and like about 20 people are watching him. I'm like, I can't believe this is real. I can't believe 20 people are watching this motherfucker. Like, outrageous scenes. You know, we had, when we did WSOE for Fortnite, we had the game. Definitely not washed up. Doing Fortnite events, we had the fucking game. Just come and do it, like, just fucking do the after party. You know, it's like, it's crazy. Like, so there's musical acts out there. I mean, I remember James Bardolph telling me one time they nearly got DMX for a Face It event. Now that would have been straight fucking fire. Fuck the games. Like, put DMX on. But instead, what you fucking get is, Instead, what you get is, you get fucking, you know, you get garbage. You get fucking garbage. You know, and it's not enough. And then they only play one song, and it's,
you're not even a real journalist.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's like they don't even think it. They don't even think it through. Holy shit!
Doing the No Majors Club again for
yes. Yes, I will. The No Majors Club is going nowhere. It's an institution now. I gotta think about how I'm gonna do the No Internationals Club. But you won't need to worry about it, Vince, because you'll be back in fucking Berlin, no doubt. So you'll be doing the No Majors Club knackered from your fucking hotel room, like dying inside. But it's always good to hear from you, buddy. So anyway, you know, I don't know what the full solution is, but I think there's something to learn from the old Expo days, which is, I don't know, maybe I'd rather have somebody fucking come and promote a new version of a game or just something. Just give me something. Give me some freebies for sticking around. Do a fucking Hall of Fame thing in the middle. Fuck it, people will probably get up and go get a fucking Coke and take a piss, call their parents, you know, whatever they're doing. But the... Oh, what, you don't think you're going to be there? I don't know, mate. You fucking should be. You know my opinions. But if not, yeah, you're more than welcome. So yeah, it's fucking... I don't know. Music acts ain't it. Then they ain't it, Chief. I've seen just too much. But I understand why events are trying to find ways to cram more and more to make people sit around in stadium seating for 10 to 12 hours. The reality is your days just shouldn't be that long. But fuck it, we've hired the venue. So people try and get value for money, you know, in that sense. It's a complicated thing. Anyway, so I'm sympathetic to the blast. But it's also got to be said, your marketing team... and whoever put the original plan together shit the fucking bed hardcore, because to get at any one point a crowd like that in LA, which is an esports hub of the world, while Team Liquid are fucking playing like an LA based team, that's fucking crazy. That's a crazy fail. And I can't fathom how it ended up being this bad. I also got to say as well, if you are going to do a musical act, this is a controversial opinion, evidently, because loads of people to me today were going like, oh yeah, this that band were great. That band was great. That played. Well, I don't know about that, man. I don't know if they were great. I mean, first of all, I'll just show you what I tweeted out, right? If you compare that crowd that I've just shown you there twice, this was from the last I-Series, and this was 2 UK League of Legends teams playing against each other. It's about the same, right? So I mean, that's a problem. But anyway, so they put this fucking musical act on. And it's like, please don't send like unsigned or fucking indie bands to my big esports events. Like, it doesn't always land when you have a big fucking star or a big dance act, right? Sometimes it's done good. I said this before. DreamHack, when they had Darude come and play fucking Sandstorm, that was a killer because that was in 2013, right? Because that was like, it embraced a fucking meme that everybody was doing at the time. It was off the wall, but it was also like, he is a big name, and people could get into it, and it didn't overstay its welcome. He rocked up, he played Sandstorm, he played a few other things, I think, and he fucked off, and that was it. And they weren't trying to sell it as being anything else. But this, like, come on, man. This is like fucking BBC Live Lounge with some unsigned fucking act. I couldn't believe it. Like, what's this got to do? Like, I've got to watch, in a minute, right? I've got to watch someone else bang someone else's head off with a sniper rifle, right? Like, I don't want your fucking pseudo Mac Miller fucking stylings, you shit cunt. Like, come on. I'm not feeling it. Well, it's not Mac Miller, is he? Because he's fucking dead. If it was Mac Miller, I'd be straight telling you, Blast is fucking awesome. They brought him back. I'm in. But like, who brought the fucking light up palm trees? Like, what is this? I live in Vegas. There's like a million bars like this just round the fucking corner from me. I can literally walk like 100 meters and be in a place like this. It's not the fucking Blast. It's not a fucking... Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this shit? Like, I don't know. Maybe a part of me is like, well, at least if DJ Khaled rocks up, and he's a moron, right? He doesn't know that people are laughing at him. He doesn't know people are laughing at him. He honestly thinks people believe all of that fucking, another one shit is inspirational. He doesn't, like, no one's actually told him, like, listen, come here, you big fatty, come here, mate. They're having a lend. No one thinks you're clever. No one thinks you're smart, right? No one thinks you're inspirational. In fact, no one really knows what the fuck you do. You keep claiming to have all these number ones and that. And we saw that god-awful sex tape where it was like the woman was just on a waterbed and then had you on top, who is a human waterbed, and it was just like, just physics-defying, grotesque sex. So, like, no, he doesn't know that. He doesn't know he's a joke. So he fucking comes along and he puts his heart and soul into it, and people are laughing like, look at fucking DJ Khaled, look at that dickhead. That is actually more entertaining than this. Like, loads of people were messaging me going, it's a good band. They sound really cool, actually. Brilliant, buy their fucking album. I know you won't. I bet you can't even remember who their fucking name is now. But, like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. As if people don't know that DJ Khaled had a fucking sex tape. Like, beam me the fuck up, man. Is this the state of my audience? Is this what I'm reduced to? Are you all out there not watching DJ Khaled's sex tape and laughing at it? Grow up. Pull it up, Jamie. No, it's definitely not. The thing is as well, because obviously he's just a giant man on top of a woman, like, that you can't even see anything. It probably doesn't even violate Twitch TOS. What someone did actually do that was pretty funny was after the sex tape thing sort of came out, they actually because he's really struggling to get his thrust on, somebody basically like cut it together. So as he's doing this, it's like another one, another one. He's knackered after 5. He's done. Anyway, the bottom line is that I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that, yes, while obviously this band is infinitely better music-wise and talent-wise than fucking DJ Khaled, I'm going to say it's far less of a spectacle and has less of a place in an esport event than DJ Khaled does. So, just saying. But I just wish we'd stop. I wish we'd stop. You want to know what's hilarious? Honest to God, about 8 minutes after the band had finished, or it might even have been during the band, right? Somebody put up a fucking Reddit post just saying, I have 2 tickets and would like to sell them. So you're killing it. You're fucking straight killing it, Blast. Somebody there. Was that live performance that just happened the final straw? Probably was, wasn't it? So, absolute scenes. Absolute fucking scenes. Like, I mean, what next? Like, fucking happy hour. Like, I just can't get my head around what I've seen. The way it has as well, like, it's like watching a fucking... They didn't even just play one song. They played, like, a gig. Like, they played, like, 2 or 3 songs. Mini gig, I should say. And it's like, it's got the fucking... sorry, I can't do the music. But, like, look, it's got the blast, like, on the fake brick wall. Like, it's fucking... Like, it's a TV show or something. Like, do you know what I mean? It's so crazy. It's like John Peel's gonna fucking come out, you know what I mean? Like, what is this shit? Why is it at a fucking esports event? Does anyone know?